It's your girl Karina here, and happy Holy Easter Wednesday! Yay! So today is a brand new day, and I hope and pray that you have been very well during this time. I know, again, it's still social distancing, and I keep on repeating myself, but we should rejoice during this time. We should be happy and joyous every time we have another day to conquer and to be fruitful for Christ. That's because we each have a special, unique gift that God blessed us with deeply embedded in our hearts, that we should not forget that. Therefore, each day is another chance to be able to maximize that true potential of ourselves and to be one step closer to accomplishing that universal call to holiness. Whether if it's to call to marriage, religious life, God knows, but really, when it comes to marriage life in general too, I'm no expert, but really when you're called to that, just really have that basic fundamental principle to just bring that special person, your significant other, your spouse, closer and closer to Christ, closer to heaven, together, together. And it's so beautiful like that, to have the imagery of, growing with someone closer to Christ, together with someone you love so much. It's so beautiful like that. So with that said, sorry, I just went on in marriage mode. Oops. I hope you're well. My prayers again go out to you and your family, that you'll be very healthy and away from this pandemic, unfortunately. But really, again, we always have to unite our prayers as one, so that this will be over according to God's time. So with that said, I hope you have your favorite snack and your favorite beverage with you, so that you'll be comfortable with me, hanging out for Christ, for God, really. And as I always love to say, don't forget to please subscribe to my YouTube channel just right here, and it would really mean so much to me from the bottom of my heart. And with that said, let's get started. I want to talk to you guys about humble submission to God. Humble submission to God. Really, it's so beautiful, to have that humility to God so much that you're placing everything in His hands, regardless of how much you truly desire that special prayer and that special vocation that you truly desire in your heart. It's so beautiful like that, because really it's having that basic trust in God's hands, that with those pure intentions that you have, that you're desiring for deep in your heart, and placing in God's hands, God will do wonders with it. God will do wonders with it, and that He will truly bless you and show you the answer in due time, in God's due time. And it's really beautiful like that, God is really putting the best for us in our lives, yet we don't even see it at times, because it's just right there, and we're so focused on all the distractions of this world, so that's why I felt it was really appropriate to select that topic for today, because especially with what's happening right now, all of us again are at some degree put on hold with our lives, because we have to do social distancing with a restriction, and we can't really bond with everyone that we love right now. So really, it's that time of waiting, as I always say in all my videos, that time of waiting, embracing that increase in the virtue of patience, and really growing with Christ and growing with God and deepening our relationship with Christ and God, right? So that's why, at the same time, don't be concerned who is on your side and who is not on your side, because really we are all assured that God is always on our side. God is always on our side, and God will always be with us no matter where we are in our life, no matter what we've done in the past. God's always there. God is always there, watching you, taking care of you, saving you from the evil one, the enemy. You know, that's why the least thing we can do is just show our love to God, show our love to Christ, and just spending that quiet time with God, letting our hearts hear what God has to say to us. And really, it's so beautiful like that, that we just, you know, place everything in God's hands. Even though we are experiencing trials and tribulations right now. You know, right now we're all on hold because of a little germ, a little virus, right? But regardless of that, he's taking this time for us to embrace this time of growth, of that spiritual advancement for each and every one of us. And for us to realize that everything of this world is worthless. Everything of this world will perish except our love for God, and God's love for us, and God's graces and God's mercy for us. That's why, you know, I heard in a homily actually yesterday by Cardinal Thomas Collins to embrace God's grace. I love short and concise sayings like that. Embrace God's grace. Yeah, I was really blown away when I heard that. I know it's only like 3 words, but it really sums up the fact that regardless of a germ and a virus, you know, affecting all of our lifestyles right now, at some degree, you know, we should constantly embrace God's grace. Because really, even though we're in this time right now, God's still showering each and every one of us with graces. You know? And that's why, you know, we should really take that time of silence with God in our everyday lives. Like, I personally recommend to write letters to Jesus, to write letters to our Blessed Mother Mary, to write letters to God, instead of doing that Dear Diary, because personally I used to be that Dear Diary, but I ended up redirecting that to Dear Mommy Mary, and then I tell her everything, I tell her how I feel. And I do that every morning, and it just makes me feel so at peace within myself, so I can dominate the day that has to come. You know, if anything bothers me, I'm able to just redirect that stress and that frustration right into your Blessed Mother Mary's hands, so that she can grant me that grace to embrace that moment and to just be so at peace with it. To be so at peace with it. Because really, like, every time we call upon Our Lady, she always blesses us with that grace of peace, that grace of obedience, and that grace of humility. It's so beautiful how she really is the divine example about being obedient to God's will and being so humble and really really exercising that humility in such a way that she really submitted to God's will. You know, I'm probably sure you know that very well. And with that in mind, like, we should really follow her example. Call upon her graces every day. Call upon her the first thing in the morning. You know, actually, one of my sisters in Christ, like, she always writes a letter to Jesus before she goes to bed, and then I suggested for her to write a letter to our Blessed Mother Mary every morning, so that really you begin the day with the Blessed Mother Mary, and then you end the day with Jesus. It's so beautiful like that, you know? And so that's why, like, when it comes to our everyday lives, we should really take that time to speak to the Blessed Mother Mary, speak to Christ, speak to God, and so that we constantly have that dialogue and really deepening our relationship as we progress, right? Because each and every one of us has to have that desire in our hearts to have that spiritual advancement, right? So that we will grow in virtue, and that we will be able to combat anything that has to go against us, right? And so that's why just allow yourself to be put in God's care. Allow yourself to be put in God's care, so that He will be able to really show you the answers of the prayer that you have been fervently praying for every day. You know, and it's so beautiful like that, to just tell God, this is what I truly desire in my heart. this truly, this person or this vocation or this thing, that I really desire in my heart, that I truly, truly pray that it comes true according to your time. And just allowing God to show you the answer in time is really preparing you, as I've already said before, preparing you for that desire that you have in your heart with pure intentions. As long as you have that desire in your heart with pure intentions, God can see that, and God will truly bless you very well. So that's why along that journey as well, we have to recognize our imperfections and surrendering those imperfections into God's hands. Because again, all of us are human, all of us are not perfect. We have our imperfections regardless of how talented and skillful we may be. We still have our imperfections that still need smoothing out, really. And from that point on, allow God to grant you that grace to really shave those rough edges, smoothen them out, so that you will be pure in the image of Christ, and you're growing in virtue, as I said. Right? So that's why recognizing our imperfections, meaning that we have to admit our faults at times when we are at fault, and making reparation and making amends to those we've wronged. And with that in mind, at the same time, you easily pacify others and reconcile yourself with those you have offended. Yeah, it's really beautiful like that. So really, again, it's that bottom line of forgiveness, really. And from that point on, God will really bless you when you just forgive others who've really wronged you. That's why, in opportunities like that, don't let it just wash away. Take the opportunity to grow in virtue, really, because with that mind, you grow in virtue very much. Your characteristics becomes more mature in the eyes of Christ. Because really, as we was saying, really just dominate that opportunity to grow closer to Christ, meaning every opportunity that God permits in your life, take advantage of that and really allow yourself to morph into someone better for Christ. So that's why, just think that God never refuses the humble, and He will definitely deliver and comfort them with God's grace, with His grace. Right? So God can see everything. As I said before, nothing is missed in the eyes of Christ. Even though you are not recognized for the tasks you do for Christ, God can see it. God can really see what you're doing. And He can truly see beyond that, in terms of how, you approach the situation and your pure intentions in your heart. He can see if it's intentions of glorifying yourself or glorifying God, right? So always remember that, as you do ministry work, or as you do anything, when you feed the poor, once a month, just allow yourself to be pleasing God. That's it. Don't try to impress anybody else, and it's so beautiful like that. So we can really grow in God's eyes. It doesn't matter what the people around you think. As long as you're doing it for Christ, as long as you're doing it for God, that is all that matters the most, right? Because as you're becoming more humble in Christ, you will have that sense of inner peace deep in your heart, so that you'll be able to grow more and more closer to Christ as you go along that journey. And that's why showing that pure example in the eyes of others really reflects how humble you are in the eyes of Christ. Even though you're being shamed, you will have that inner peace in your heart, because you're placing all your trust and your confidence in God. Although, I'm not saying to become a doormat and just be I'm being humble, step all over me. No. I'm not saying let people walk all over you. Humility is not allowing people to walk all over you like a doormat. No. Humility is actually allowing the sense of pride and the sense of ego to be diminished for Christ, for God, and for our Blessed Mother Mary. So that's why when you place your trust and confidence in God, being humble in the eyes of others will truly be the aftermath after that, because really you're placing all your trust in God and you don't have anything to worry. Therefore, your fears are not around, your insecurities are not around, your anxieties are not around. So I love it so much, because really you're able to look at things so differently. You're able to have a different perspective on things, and also on top of that, you get to see everything around you through the eyes of Christ. It's so beautiful like that, how you get to see the world through God's eyes and through Christ's eyes, so that you will flourish and you will truly bear fruit. Therefore, having the humble submission to God is really telling God, okay, please grant me the grace to embrace what's to come and all the virtues that I require in my life. And that would be including everything that I truly desire in my heart, that I truly want in my life, and allowing you to lead the way and preparing me for what I desire in my heart. I know all of us are really in that cut of unknowing right now because of what's happening due to this current circumstance, but look at it again, as I said, as a time of preparation for what we're praying for and for what we're truly desiring for. So therefore, to reach the height of perfection, never think of yourself as being virtuous until you know sincerely in your heart that you are the least of all. To reach the height of perfection, never think of yourself as virtuous until you know sincerely in your heart that you are the least of all. I just want to leave you with that last quote, though, so that we can really flourish and bear fruit for Christ. To really close off, though, each and every one of us has that universal call to holiness for Christ. And even though if it's for the vocation of marriage, regardless of that, that's still a call to holiness, because you have a mission to bring that person closer to Christ and growing in love with them. And it's so beautiful like that, really. And I'm seeing a lot of people get engaged right now, so it's just like, it's really coming to mind. And even though a lot of us are in this time of waiting, as I've said, it's a time of preparation, that assurance that even though we may not be at work, God's working double time for us. It's just a matter of us placing our trust in God and letting Him show us His masterpiece of what's to come. And I love that so much, because it really, personally for me, it gives me that inner peace that, okay, even though I may not know exactly what's happening behind the scenes, I know it's so beautiful. I know it's happening right now as I speak. And little do I know it's gonna bloom. That little bud, that flower bud's gonna bloom, and I will see it. Just like looking into like a tulip that just bloomed and you're just looking inside, just like, oh, it's so pretty. So that's what I'm saying. And essentially, to think about it, when it comes to seeing flowers bloom, right? Like, it doesn't come overnight. It comes with time. It comes with that nourishment of water, the soil, fruitful soil, And so that's why, think about it that way in terms of our lives. Like, God will not just plop it in our lives and expect us, okay, here, go just deal with it how you want. No. Like, He allows you to be prepared for that fruitfulness and for that vocation that you're truly desiring for. Because when He reveals that answer to you, that's when God knows that you are ready. And that's when God knows the answer is ready for you. So it's a two-way street. It's never like, oh, when is it going to come to me? when will it be that day? It's like, no, it's two-way street. The answer has to be ready for you, and you have to be ready for the answer. It's two-way street. So therefore, just think about that as you're waking up each day and being truly grateful for the blessings that God has given you, and really cherish it and allow yourself to see the greatness that is to come through that increase of virtue, the virtue of patience. So there you have it. Always allow our Blessed Mother Mary to give you that grace to practice that act of humility. It's not an act as an actor acting, but just that grace of humility deep in your heart, so that over time you will really flourish and bear fruit for others, for Christ. So there you have it. I truly pray and I hope that you enjoy this video. Again, my prayers go out to you, and especially what you're praying for. Again, as I keep on saying, just stay strong in what you're praying for. I know, again, it's this time of waiting, but you can do it. Hang in there. And I know deep in my heart that you will truly flourish and bear fruit no matter how long this wait is going to be. And really make the best out of everything that God's given you. Because you are called to greatness for Christ. And always remember that. So, with that said, don't be afraid to be true warriors of Christ.